What's up, guys? My name is TechnoTuner, and today I'm bringing to you my Ashened test hand video. This deck has a lot of capability of going farther and wide. You have a lot of capabilities of further editing this deck to however you see fit. Now, I will note that I have not put in the newest spell. I'm waiting on those copies to come in, but this is just the current version I have that you've seen in the prior deck build video or deck profile video, and I have a lot of fun with it at locals and just with friends overall for the RPG and everything else that I use this deck for. It has a lot of capabilities to go into fusions. You can incorporate synchros to further your plays and capabilities of playing around D-Fissure or Dimensional Barrier. You have a lot of other capabilities of changing this deck into a Genesis deck. Overall, this deck has a lot of capability to go far and wide. It is also a very good budget deck, especially for those that really love the Elden Ring lore and like to play Yu-Gi-Oh! So let's go ahead and hop right on into this and get into some of our test hands. Now, do note that I will be going into this at least with going first hand and then at least one going first hand and one going second hand. I'm going to try to do going first twice just to show you what you can set up. So we've already started off with drawing an Awakening of Vados, Obsidian the Ashen City, Vados the Eruption Dragon, King of the Ashen City, and Priestess of the Ashen City. So let's go ahead and start it off with an Awakening of Vados to place an Obsidian in our opponent's field spell zone. And then we can add one level 5 or higher Dark Pyro monster from our deck to our hand. In this case, we'll go ahead and add a Hero of the Ashen City. And then we'll activate the Obsidian in our own field zone. We'll then go ahead and special summon the Vados to our opponent's field by popping the Obsidian. Obsidian will then trigger, getting us a special summon from the deck, in which we can special summon either a king, a priestess, whatever, as long as it is a Ashened monster. So we're going to go ahead and special summon the Priestess of the Ashen City to grab us a Ashened, and then since we popped a field spell with Vados effect, we can set a continuous trap. So we're going to go ahead and set the Ashened Endlessness. Do note that is a trigger for the summon, so you would have to do it, then pop the field spell to get the Ashened effect. So it would be this in one chain for Vados to summon. The other chain would be Obsidian to summon the monster from deck. And then we have another new chain, which is Priestess, getting us a Ashen card from our deck to our hand, which would be the other trap, which is Ashen for Eternity. We'll next go ahead and special summon us a King of the Ashen City and utilize its effect during the main phase. Since our opponent controls a monster with 2,800 or more attack, we can go ahead and summon from our deck another Ashened monster. In this case, we'll probably just go ahead and summon us a Spearhead. Yes, I do note that we are not running really any Xyz rank 4s in this deck, so this is a capability in which you can go this and this into a Dark Pyro, if there is one, for, or a Pyro monster such as Banshee, if you would like to, for Ashened, or you can utilize this effect to just keep getting monsters on board so you can have a bigger fusion during your opponent's turn. But we're going to next special summon the Hero of the Ashen City. We're not going to utilize its effect at all to pop, unless our opponent had more monsters in which we would want to pop one of their monsters. So we're going to set these two traps. I know I did not do a good zone placement, but middle zone, and then we have our field spell up at the top left. So what do we have here for right now for interaction? We have a quick effect main. Sorry, I can't read that from all the way over there. So during the main phase, quick effect, you target one Pyro monster on the field, destroy it. Then if you destroy Vados, the Eruption Dragon of Extinction, by this effect, place one Obsidian the Ashened City from your deck face up in the field zone. So we're not going to utilize that effect just yet, but we can utilize it if our opponent has a special summon monster, because Obsidian turns all of our opponent's special summon monsters into Dark Pyros, so we can further interact that way. Then this is just a free body during our turn. If we, Our opponent controls a monster 2800 or more attack. We can then tribute this card, target one card opponent controls, return it to the hand, which we can then utilize further. But given this, we're going to go ahead and set these two, which are going to be Ashen to Endlessness and Ashen for the Eternity. Ashen for Eternity lets us steal Vados, and then we can, this is during our turn only, but when it's activated, we can add one Vados the Eruption Dragon of Extinction or one Ashen monster from our graveyard to our hand. And then we can make our opponent lose attack equal to the monster that we stole back. So if we stole Vados back, we can drop everything by 2800. Then Ashen to Endlessness. During the main phase of Fusion, summon one Pyro Fusion monster from the extra deck using monsters from either field as material, including Vados the Eruption Dragon of Extinction. If you do, it gains 500 attack for each material used. You banish this card and one Dark Pyro monster from the graveyard. All monsters your opponent controls or currently control become Pyro until the end of this turn. So it basically makes it to where you can automatically fuse either way. So what we would utilize this is during our opponent's turn, when they get enough monsters on board, or if we want to utilize this now at the start of main phase, we'll go ahead and fuse with Vados, Spearhead, King, Priestess, and Hero of the Ashen City, stating, and whatever else they have that's a special summon monster. We can go into Vados, the Dragon of Endless Darkness, which makes it to where it's a 5500 beater. It cannot be destroyed by card effects, so when Vados triggers, since it left the field, it'll nuke the board of monsters, and then this boy here nukes the back row for your opponent. So they have nothing they can interact with. So that overall just breaks things breaks everything down even harder for them to recover and being able to play through, since this card cannot be targeted by monster effects that your opponent controls. If Fusion Summon, destroy all spells and traps your opponent controls. When your opponent activates a card or effect on a field, quick effect, you send one face-up Ashen card you control to the graveyard, destroy that card. But yeah, that's basically it during that. One note I will say is that I did forget is to activate the Obstinate effect at end step, place this on the bottom to then draw a card. So even then, which really wouldn't have mattered, but we did have an Ashen of Endlessness on our next draw. But that's what we could have done during our opponent's phase. Gotten basically a complete board wipe, which would have been completely interesting to see how our opponent would recover, especially if this was in a Genesis format style deck to where they can't really interact. This whole combo was basically just Genesis format right there, in which you could have gone much farther and made it a lot more difficult for your opponent to really interact. Anyways, guys, let's go ahead and hop right into the next going first hand and see what else we can do with this deck. Alright guys, let's go ahead and see what we get for our next going first test hand. So we got Priestess of the Ashen City, Ash Blossom Joyous Spring, Ashen for Eternity, King of the Ashen City, and then finally, Vados the Eruption Dragon of Extinction. So what are we going to do here? First off, we'll normal summon Priestess of the Ashen City, activate the effect to add one Ashen card. We'll add Obsidian the Ashened City. We will next activate Obsidian, then special summon King. We're not going to activate its effect yet, but we're going to special summon Vados, popping Obsidian effect to trigger. So we'll get a free special summon from the deck. In this case, we will go ahead and grab us a Hero of the Ashen City. We'll actually put that in attack. And then we'll activate King effect since our opponent controls a monster with 2800 more attack. We'll go ahead and special summon that. And also, before I forget, we still had Vados trigger. That is a mandatory. You cannot miss it. So that is a misplay. We'll go ahead and set the Ashened to Endlessness in the back row. But we'll activate King effect to summon from our deck a Spearhead of the Ashened City. So, what do we do next? We'll go ahead and set the Ashen for Eternity. In this case, this is where we could go into a Dark Pyro. Well, we're not even Pyro locked, really, so we could just go directly into a rank 4 monster or a link 2, in which best fits your capabilities. Given that we want to keep this monster around but also deal damage, I would recommend us going through and actually doing Gaga Cowboy or Castell or anything really that helps us get through and bounce or destroy cards that we don't want on the field. But if you want to leave these cards on the board so you have a bigger Ashened fusion, you can. So we'll go ahead and go to our opponent's main phase. We'll activate Ashen to Endlessness after they set some spells or traps or did whatever. And then we'll fusion summon using monsters from either field. So we'll use all of them. Go into Vados. Do the same play we did the last turn, where we're going to basically just make it to where it is 5,500. Vados triggers, destroys all monsters on the field. This can't be destroyed, so we're then going to destroy the spells and traps in our opponent's back row, and then we're just basically setting on a 5,500 beat stick that we can utilize Ashen for Eternity to give us a Vados back or an Ashen monster. We'll go ahead and add us back the Priestess of the Ashen City so we have further play for next turn. Overall, that's actually really good because now we've established board, especially if this was Genesis format, to where we have the bigger monster that can go for further damage, and we have a Searcher for next turn as well. And we also have Hero of the Ashen City as well, that we can just special summon if we grab an Obsidian and be able to further beat down and go through our opponent's actual cards as we need to. So overall, guys, that's what I have for going first, for our second going first hand. So let's go ahead and hop right into our final hand of us going second. All right, so our final going hand, which is us going second, we got Hero of the Ashen City, Priestess of the Ashen City, Obsidian the Ashen City, Spearhead, Extinguishing the Ashen, and then Ash Blossom for our draw. So basically, we're going to be able to set the same board, essentially, by activating Obsidian. Then we'll go ahead and special summon us a Priestess effect to grab us a Ashened card. In this case, since we're looking to get us a Ashen card, we're wanting to do more damage. We'll go into King of the Ashen City. We'll next special summon King, not activate its effect, but we'll go ahead and activate Extinguishing the Ashen, allowing us to grab a Vados by sending a Vados and then adding it to our hand. So we'll send it, effect to add, so we'll add it back to our hand, and then be able to continue on with building our board, in which we'll go ahead and special summon Spearhead and special summon Hero. We'll next go ahead and pop Obsidian by being able to special summon Vados and set us a trap. In this case, we'll go ahead and set Ashen to Endlessness. Now we have the capability of further breaking our board or allowing us to further fusion summon using monsters we control. So we'll go ahead and banish this and special summon from our extra deck since we're locked into Dark Pyros. So we'll go ahead and do these two, bounce back Vados, and then fuse off. So here's the thing that I'm thinking of doing, right? So before I get too far ahead of myself here in the plays, this is where if I had a Castell, I would go ahead, overlay these two, make Castell, detach both, bounce Vados back to hand. Then we can go ahead and fuse, get Embers of the Ashened out, trigger by activating Obsidian to where we can activate it again, make everything a Dark Pyro. Or if we wanted to and go for further damage, what we can utilize is activating Obsidian effect, because we are Pyro locked, so we couldn't do Castell. I'm forgetting that. Is instead go into Embers of the Ashened by fusing off with these two and utilizing its effect. So, if this card is fusion summoned, you can target one field spell in your graveyard, add to your hand. At the start of the damage step, if this card battles an opponent's pyro monster, you can destroy that opponent's monster. And if it's your turn, this card can make a second attack in a row. You can only use this card's effect each once per turn, which is perfectly fine because we're wanting to leave the Vados on the board anyways. But we're going to go ahead and activate the effect to add back the Obsidian. And then we'll activate Obsidian, making all their special summon monsters Dark Pyro. So Embers can go in for 29, pop something that's bigger at the start of the damage step that's bigger than it, and then swing over something else that it's smaller and get a second attack in, and then we can go hero effect swing. So overall, right there, we've already done some damage. We've left Vados on the board, so during our opponent's turn, we can do Ashen to Endlessness and further interact and destroy their cards, all while having Ash Blossom for recovery if they would like to pop something. And then for our next turn, we draw Obsidian anyways, so we're going to be doing other effects to trigger off our opponent's cards. Since we'll be able to do Obsidian for Obsidian at the end step to draw a card, it doesn't really matter. But in this case, we would still be able to fusion off and do bigger plays by making the big Vados as a recovery play. And the fun part about this is the Vados would still be about 5k, as it would gain 2,000 attack if there's not any other special summon Dark Pyros on the opponent's board, which can really further increase the damage. So, anyways, that's all that I have for you guys for this Ashen Test Hands video. However, I will state, if you are looking to make a fun, interactive deck for the Genesis format, Ashened is definitely the way to go, as it has a lot of capabilities for board breaking. It has a lot of capabilities for just pure destruction and interaction. It's a lot of fun to play overall, and is super cheap. Even if you cut out the links in the Hope Harbinger, and you want to run 3 Ash Blossom, 2 Allure Darkness, and 1 Terraforming, it would be able to further go through and set up with at least 78 points. You can cut the Terraforming, fit in a couple DDD Crows, or however you want to really interact with the deck. You can even fit in Polymerization if you really wanted to, so you can get more fusion capabilities and being able to play through without really utilizing and being pyro locked. This deck has a lot of capabilities of further growing and has so much more fun to even really play. It's more of a grind style deck, to where I can't show you everything that would happen within a single turn. I will note that now for you guys, but these are some basic combos that you can see that happen. As the game goes longer and longer, you're going to have more and more interaction in which you come out with bigger and bigger monsters, or more monsters that cause your opponent a lot more headache and further struggle to get over. This deck is a lot of fun, as I've stated, to play. It's super cheap, and it's very fun to utilize. However, there are some cards, as I was stating, that I would cut for further interaction. Like, I would cut Reawakening down to 2. I would cut, let's see here, Terraforming if we're going into Genesis format, because it's 33 points. You can utilize those 33 points for 2 Imperms or other hand traps that could better fit you. The other things I would do is probably cut Spearhead down to 1, Shaman at 3 still, but Hero the Ashen to 2, King maybe as a 1 or 2 of. There's a lot of cards that I'm basically running in this version that could be further changed, so it's better fit for whatever kind of playstyle you would like. If you're looking for more of a hand trap build, I would definitely cut 2 Spearhead, 1 King. You don't have to cut the Terraforming if you're playing competitive, but if you're playing Genesis, I would recommend cutting it. Even though you do want to see your Obsidian or an Obsidian, there's plenty of ways to search it. I would cut Rekindling down to 2. The other card that I would probably cut down to is Shaman of the Ashen City. Just that way you have more capability of fitting in another hand trap or something to interact with it. The other thing that I would more likely cut down to 2 is Hero of the Ashen City, because you don't really want to pop your cards, and its effect is really only beneficial when a Dark Pyro is on the board with 2800 more attack. excuse me, not 2800 or more attack, just a pyro monster on the board. It's just further interaction overall that I would recommend dropping those to further increase your combo capabilities and being able to get to the cards that you really want to see. Like another one that I would recommend maybe being a 2 of instead of a 3 of is Extinguishing the Ashened. There's 8 cards right there that you can cut and utilize and change to however you see fit. Each of these deck builds that I do and test hands that I do, while some of them may not perform to what everybody would like to see, it's based on the play style of the deck that I like seeing. And that's what I would recommend for each and every one of you, is if you see my deck profiles or my test hand videos, and you're like, oh yeah, this can be changed, or why is he running that? You don't have to run the exact same build that I'm running. Try something different for yourself. Play what best fits you and have fun with it. This game is meant to have fun with friends and create new friendships. So that's what I will state for this whole thing. Get off my soapbox. But I hope you all did greatly enjoy this video. If you did, please go ahead and leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next one.
Is it okay if I'm to say I'm catching feelings from all the dealings? Am I astray? What do you say? How are you feeling? Is it the same?